Welcome to the What's a Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host, Alec Burgess.
Let's get it.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that follow, subscribe, like, bell notification buttons. Help keep up with the podcast and our ever-releasing episodes. And, if you want to help grow the podcast, go ahead and tell a friend about us. Tell a family member about us. I don't know that we want really...
Don't tell nobody about this month.
Yeah,
skip this month.
this movie, I don't know that this movie's wild, so I don't know that I want anybody that's related to this movie, coming and hanging out. But with that, we're in week 2 of our NC-17 movies. But before we jump into that, we want to talk about our sponsor, Dubby. Make sure you go check them out at WGG. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my lovely tub of retro sherbet energy drink. They do energy powder, energy drink powder. It equates to much cheaper than your standard cans of energy. And I'll be honest, I used to drink a ton of energy drinks, and then in my old age, I started getting shaky and jittery really bad. I'd have to be like on a super full stomach to have one and not get wonky. So I hadn't been drinking them for a while, and then they reached out, and then I tried it, and it's not bad. As long as you don't overdo it, and they give you a clear label, 1 scoop per drink, no more than 2 scoops per day. As long as you follow that, you're good. I wasn't jittery. I'm actually wide awake. It's become a morning staple for me, actually. So, really like it. They taste good. As long as you get the water ratio right. They can be a little watered down if you try too big a cup. But anyway, go check them out. W.GG. You get 10% off your order with the code RVerdict, all one word, at checkout. Go check them out. They got all sorts of cool stuff. Gear, T-shirts, cups, and then, of course, they're powders. And they're always coming out with new flavors. They just did a cherry limeade flavor. There's like a green apple something or other flavor that just came out. So they're always doing new flavors and running great deals. But yeah, at any time you can get 10% off with our code, our verdict, all one word. So appreciate that. And we do to get a small commission, so it does help support the podcast directly. So we appreciate that. So let's get into week 2.
Let's do it.
We are reviewing Requiem for a Dream. It was released December 15th, 2000. It was written by Hubert Selby Jr. and Darren Aronofsky. It was directed by Darren Aronofsky. It stars Ellen Burstyn, Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, Marlon Wayans, Christopher McDonald, Luis Lasser, Marcia Jean Kurtz, and Mark Margolis. It is about the drug-induced utopias of 4 Coney Island people that are shattered when their addictions run deep. Sure, that'll work.
More or less.
Yeah. The Requiem for a Dream. So this one was your movie, but I would have picked it if you hadn't picked it.
Okay.
Because this one goes way back for me, but I'm curious as to your reasoning besides just looking at an NC-17 list.
That was most of it, but the other part of it was I hate this movie. I hate this movie for stupid reasons.
Sure.
But it irks me, and it's one of those where I heard the main theme of the movie first.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? Let's watch the movie. No, terribly misleading. It's a stupid song to put in this movie because it does not fit at all.
No.
And it's such a good song. And then on the flip of it, Requiem for a Dream, I am convinced whoever wrote this thought it was Requiem for a Dream. And they don't know Latin. And they were trying to make it rhyme.
Fair.
And that has bothered me for so many years for no reason. And so when I had the opportunity, I of course put it on there. I don't think it's necessarily a bad movie. There are parts of it where I'm like, what the world were they thinking?
Yeah.
But I can sit down and I can watch it, once every 6 or 7 years and not feel gypped. But Everything else surrounding this movie, I hate.
Yeah.
What about you? Since you were going to put this on the list,
I have a love-hate relationship with this movie. So if I look at it objectively, it's a good movie. It's well acted, it's interesting, it's weird, but it's also very, from what I've heard, and listen, I've never run in big drug circles, at least not like heroin and cocaine, and like those kind of big drug circles before. Like I've known people that have done them, but not like pure on full on addict type thing. So I've heard though that it's pretty accurate to a lot of like the nuance and like the unfortunate situations that you might find yourself in a drug addict status of this level. Again, that's not from personal experience. That's from hearing from other people who have had personal experience on some level. But I hate it because in 2000, when this came out, fuck off if everybody wasn't like, this is the greatest movie ever made. And I sat down and watched it and went, no, it's really not. Like, it's good and it's interesting and it's weird, but like everybody was all up in arms. And then there was like the whole fucking, and I realized you were still a child when this came out.
I
But
was
like,
7.
yeah. But I was a ripe old fucking like 19-year-old kid. So it was like, so it's one of those things where there was so much hype around this movie because of Jared Leto, and he was fresh off. I mean, at this point, he was still pretty fresh off of that stupid ass MTV TV show that he was on that launched his career. And then Jennifer Connelly, it was a big switch for her because she'd always played like the heroine child actress or, you know, some young good girl. And then this movie comes out and she's showing off the top of her bush and she's getting naked and doing all sorts of crazy drugs and sex acts. And so everybody lost their minds a little bit about that. But I think the thing that it just drove me nuts. And then there was this big hullabaloo about the fact that it got the NC-17 rating when, I mean, if you look back on it now, it's really kind of stupid that it's NC-17. Yeah. It's an R-rated movie, but there's so much worse. Like there's R-rated movies now that have practically full on intercourse that you can see. And we get this movie and it's NC-17 because we still had some level of our sensibilities as a country back in the 2000s. So it was one of those weird, or actually it was overzealous, values or whatever you want to say. But anyway, like, so I was just, by the time I was into movies as an adult and like appreciate a good film, I was already so sick of hearing about Requiem for a Dream that I was like, fucking stop it. This movie, get out of here. So it's a very love-hate. Like I said, objectively, I like this movie and it's very good and it's very well acted. But subjectively, fuck, I was so sick of it. By the time 2002, 2003 rolled around, I was like, if someone says Requiem for a Dream is their favorite movie, I'm going to smack you in the face, especially because you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Most of these people, by that time, I'm in Utah, right? And so these guys are like, oh, it's the greatest movie. This was so good. I'm like, you've never even seen a drug that wasn't prescribed to you, dude. Let's not talk about how you fucking think you can relate and get the fuck out of here. You can't relate to shit. I can't, and I've done drugs, so let's not go down this road. So anyway, like it's such a weird one for me, but it's such a staple like movie from that time period. And even now, like if you bring up Requiem for a Dream, it's on lists of greatest movies and whatnot and this, that, and the other. And whether I agree with that or not, like it's hard to do an NC-17 month and not go, well, you kind of need, I mean, we've got the two staples that I was like, we have to have them. When I was thinking through my list, like you have to have this one and you have to have next week's if you're going to do it, because they're, to me, the ones that are the most watchable, that aren't like these niche, over sexualized or over violent.
It's not last week's movie, that's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. So that's where it would have ended up on my part of the list if you hadn't chosen it, because of all of those reasons. And it deserves to be talked about. I think it's an interesting film.
It is. I do think that maybe it's by design, but the story could have done for me a little bit more with the wide angle of what's happening around them. Mm-hmm. Like I really like instead of the sequences where you have his grandma for 10 minutes just flipping through TV channels,
Yeah.
or him when he's in a like coming down from his high or whatever it is, and he's just kind of like sitting on the couch, and there's that sequence that's like 5 minutes long
Yeah.
of just showing him on the couch. I appreciated a lot more the scenes where they show like there's a crackdown happening, gang violence is going on, and so they can't get their drugs anymore, or it's way so expensive to get that they're having trouble having a supply.
Yeah.
And so that was far more interesting to me. Like, my favorite part in this actual movie is when they're trying, they got the foolproof plan to go get out of a truck.
Yeah.
And just have all these, druggies around. And I'm like, oh, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
And then you even after you have everything, gunshots going off and everybody split, you still have them chasing down the produce citrus truck. And I was like, that to me was one of the best scenes in this movie, because it just hammers home that when you're that almost far gone, that much of an addict, like you do not care aside from getting your next fix. And so, even though you had shots fired and everything, my ass be going the opposite way at the truck. Like, okay, you know what? Maybe not for me. Let's go.
Yeah.
But at that point, they're so deep into it. And then that just sets off, kind of the third act of the movie, where you have this big downhill spiral, because that was almost the last shot.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate more of that happening, because I could have gotten by with maybe one or two sequences to really show that grandma's messed up. Grandma's messed up. These guys are messed up. But the 9, 10, 11 sequences that we got, I was almost like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like, it's overdone. It is. It's overdone. Like, there's too much of the sitting around trying to show these drug-induced stupors, and I get that they're trying to show, at least from what I can tell, they're trying to show what it's like to be high as much as they can without you being high, right? Like, because that is one thing that I will say, that the couple of introductions that I did have to very strong drugs like that, like heroin and stuff, is like, it is, especially heroin, and hopefully, we might get attacked on this one from YouTube for saying heroin and drugs so much, but it is what it is. Especially heroin, like, it does turn you kind of into like a puddle. Like, they're just you just chill. And so there is some level of that, but I don't need to see it every time where Jared Leto or Jennifer Connelly or, Damon or Marlon Wayans is on the screen. Like, I just don't. Like, show it to me, fine. And then, like you said, give me something that actually talks about the existential dread or the difficulty of trying to balance both living a life, having the money to get your drugs, and then what happens when you have your drugs, and then the trouble that you get into, because it's this fine tightrope walk that you're doing to like keep your life together. And then, of course, by the time and it's funny, because when they get to the part where shit starts spiraling, that third act, and you hit the pinnacle of this movie where everything kind of goes into the toilet for them, it's so fast that I'm like, whoa. All of a sudden, we went from slow, drawn-out sequences of nothing, or laying on a couch, waiting for your girlfriend to come back with money so you can go buy drugs, to full-on, like, running away, trying to find drugs, doing drugs in the car to keep yourself going, realizing that you're going to lose your arm because your arm's super infected, to weird lesbian sex on the table with a bunch of weird ass businessmen watching and cheering you on, and grandma getting fucking electric shock therapy. I'm like, whoa, give me whiplash all of a sudden. What the fuck? And so I think if they had done one of two things, they either cut out some of the middle of it, of some of these slower sequences, and then drag out the final act so you even get more, because that part's impactful. You're like, whoa, fuck. Now we're seeing the results of making these choices in your life. And this is the shitty part, where the reality of what you're trying to show in this movie, the raw, just, we're not hiding from anything in this movie, is actually impactful. versus it feels like most of the movie, hey, I'm going to go figure out how to take some drugs and then learn how to sell them, because this
Fill up that
doesn't seem
shoebox
bad.
real quick.
Yeah, this doesn't seem bad at all. But then when it gets bad, it gets real bad. And so, but it's just so hurried. Like the timing of it is a little wonky from middle to end.
No, I agree, because I think you can fix that with just a couple brief glances. Like we never see anything with his arm until he's shooting into the most infected arm on the planet.
Yeah.
And so throwing in something like that, or even a line about like, hey, my arm hurts a little bit, this or that, but they don't. And so you go from thinking like, oh, hey, you know, these guys are actually starting to get a control of the whole thing. And then no, it's not. It's bad. And that arm's coming off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then same thing with grandma. Like, you know, it turns out she's been on these uppers, and like only these uppers for 18 months.
Yeah.
Right. So, but at no point do they really talk about, you know, there's no intervention from her friends or anything like that, where you think that there'd be somebody who might mention it, or there might be an instance. Right. And so having almost that last chance, we'll call it, right,
Yeah.
where you have, you know, doctor's office visit, you can't be doing that, because we get a little bit of it with Jared Leto's character, but that's way at the beginning before you have all these consequences coming. And then same thing, like aside from the, you know, couple of sequences showing her, you know, flipping out, you really just kind of, once again, nosedive off a cliff to electric shock therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so having just a couple sequences to bridge that gap, I think, you know, you maybe lose a little bit of the shock and awe that you get, but you don't diminish any of the consequences. And you're still able to tell the ending of the story with these real consequences. But, you know, because I did get whiplash, and I was like, what is wrong with his arm?
Yeah.
Because you haven't told me yet, aside that he's an addict, you know, you haven't told me or shown me specifics. And then you have like Marlon Wayans' character, right, who for all intents and purposes doesn't have the same level of addiction, clearly, or same level of dependency. But throughout the film, you're not being led to believe that. You're led to believe that they're both kind of on the slippery slope. But he turns out just fine, you know, at least from a physical, you know, there's no arms coming off of him.
Yeah.
And so that for me was like, hey, so Jared Leto has been way far gone, way far longer.
Yeah.
But you don't get any kind of hint, I guess, at that happening or that being the case until it's time to lop off the arm.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, dude, what?
Yeah. Well, and there's one little scene that's like a blink and you miss it when he's in the bathroom and he looks at his arm and you see like a little red mark. But it looked in that scene, I always noticed that the red mark feels like it's way lower than you see it in the crook of his arm later. And on top of that, to me, it looked more like a lesion. So the first time I saw it, I thought, oh no, he's gotten himself HIV or AIDS. And he's starting to show some lesions and he's just ignoring it. And so that's how this is going to go. And then you're like, the next time you see anything about it is 30 minutes later and it's in the car and it's like, that's not red anymore. That's fucking gangrenous. And like your veins are all black and shit. Like you're fucked up. And so you're right. Like there's no indication other than that one little moment that's blink and you miss it and doesn't even look like what they end up having it be. And so I've often wondered if like the original thing was to have Jared Leto's character and Jennifer Connelly's character at the very least have either HIV or AIDS. And it would be, if they're getting lesions at that point, most likely it's AIDS already. So because then you're talking about that whole, like the whole epicenter again of what your drug addiction has done. Like, cause now at least there's two guys that probably have AIDS from her trying to get drugs or money for drugs from them. Right. And then who knows if we saw the whole party at the end. So it's like, I'm wondering if that may have been the original intention. And then they were like, well, let's walk it back and make it an infection versus AIDS or HIV. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, if you go back and rewatch that, it's about the middle of the movie. And I don't remember, but he's in the bathroom and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and then he looks down at his arm. It's like got the red mark, and it looks like it's more in the forearm area than the actual elbow crease. And so he like looks at it, swipes his arm on it, and then walks out of the bathroom. And then you don't see shit again about it until you get to the car, when you see that it's seriously infected. And I'm like, that's so weird. And again, maybe I'd missed something somewhere along the line, but that one always bothered me too. I'm like, whoa, how'd that get there? And we didn't ever notice it.
That is weird.
So, but yeah, I will say though, we've been poo-pooing a lot of the weird stuff. I will say that when it comes to acting though,
oh yes,
Jesus, dude, like it is primo shit. And I will say the one that always shocks me in this movie is Marlon Wayans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is so good in this movie. And listen, Jared Leto, we all know Jared Leto is a phenomenal actor. We all know Jennifer Connelly is the same. They always have been. They always will be. But Marlon Wayans is always just the goofy little Wayans brother that's like been in silly comedies or been in shit that his brothers make. And so he's just automatically in this, right? But he fucking kills it in this. I think in some ways he has some of the best performances in this movie.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the full-on acting in this movie. It's very good.
Yeah, because like again, my first introduction to really Marlon Wayans, but really just the Wayans family in general is White Chicks.
Sure.
And
yeah.
That's the goofy comedy, just kind of off the wall bullshit that he kind of slapped himself with. And then you have this, which is the exact opposite, and he carries pretty much most of the movie.
Yeah.
Just from, and it's not even with necessarily dialogue or lines that he's talking about or having a scene that's focused on him. It's everything that's going on in the background, like a lot of glue character going on, where he's always there, but he's the one that's really kind of connecting all the dots, right? He's got the tie back to the greater world as a dealer and supplier or whatever. So he's the tie into what's actually happening outside of, their Coney Island apartment. And he's the one who just kind of connects everything together. And he does such a good job at it.
Yeah. Yeah. For us older folk, we were introduced to the Wayans in Living Color. And then Damon Wayans did all sorts of shit. And then all of a sudden it was like every Wayans under the sun started popping up and getting like doing like Scary Movie and all that shit, was where Marlon and I don't remember the other one that was always in, they had their own TV show. And anyway, but yeah, I was shocked every time I see this. I'm like, fuck, that's Marlon Wayans. What in the fuck is going on? Because he's just so good, and it's such a dark movie, heavy movie, and he's not funny. Like, it's not like he's funny either. He's not even like
no
momentarily comic relief. Like, he's just serious and like it's dark. And so I really appreciate that he could do. And I've always said that I feel like comedians make the best dramatic actors, because being funny's hard.
Yeah.
And that timing. And if you can get that timing down, I fully believe you can get any timing down. Because some of the best dramatic performances that I can think of came from comedians. Robin Williams. Oh, God. Now I can't think of the other. Oh, God.
Will Ferrell. We know you love Will Ferrell.
Fuck that guy. But he does have some great serious performances when he tries. There's one where he's like in a writer's mind or something. That one's really good.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah, that one's really good. No, I was thinking, I keep thinking going back to, he was in Living Color too. Fuck it. Pet Detective. Why can't I think of his name?
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey has some of the best dramatic fucking performances, period. So I always think back, I can't think of very many of the really great comedy actors that don't have some serious dramatic role that I'm like, holy shit, that was great. So he does great. I cannot argue with the fact that Marlon Wayans kind of steals every scene he's in. So
it really makes the movie watchable, because I don't think I could deal with Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly moping around for 2.5 hours.
Fucking Jared Leto made his bones early on being the fucking depressed white boy junkie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't even remember the name of that goddamn. There was an MTV show that he did with Claire Danes. It was so fucking stupid. It was so everybody loved it. And it launched Claire Danes and Jared Leto into the stratosphere. But it was fucking stupid. It was angsty goddamn 90s teenage bullshit. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But like all the girls my age, like fucking Jared Leto was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I was like, go away. Like this show sucks so much ass. But anyway. So all right, should we rate this thing?
Let's do it.
All right, brother. Your movie, your rating.
My movie, my rating. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it is a very good movie, objectively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that I have gone back to multiple occasions, not frequently because it is heavy and dark and not a fun watch necessarily, but I've gone back. The only problems I really have with it are my personal problems, which are one, the name, because I'm pretty sure whoever doofus wrote the script thought it was going to rhyme. Because there's no other reason for it, in my opinion. Because and then the song, because the song belongs on some sort of like epic Spartan battlefield type thing, and them pushing a TV down Coney Island boardwalk while this is playing, it just irks me. The song deserves better, but I'll give it a 4. I will watch it again. I know that much, and I do sit down, and as hard as it is, I don't have a problem sitting down and watching it. I wouldn't go as far as say it's an enjoyable watch, but I don't have a problem sitting down and actually watching it.
That's fair.
So yeah, 4 for me.
I'm also going to give it a 4 begrudgingly. Because I have to do it from I try to do everything objectively. There are sometimes
objectively is so much more fun.
It is way more fun. But objectively, it is a really good movie. Mostly, it does have its issues. It has some pacing issues. It has some really, a lot of the same things that I always bitch about a lot of independent films. This has those issues. Like tries too hard in a lot of areas and leans into the dark, which I'm okay with as long as it makes sense. And I think it does for the most part, but the acting is outrageous. The direction, the filmography really puts you in the frame of where you're at. Like you can't help it. But that's like I said, I don't seek this movie out because like I walk away wanting to do push-ups in a saltwater bath. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like I won't finish the rest of that statement, but it's depressing. And I don't typically enjoy being depressed after watching a movie. I watch movies for entertainment, so I want to come away feeling better or at least entertained. And this movie doesn't entertain me on that level. It just makes me appreciate good acting and the fact that it's a gritty movie. But I can find gritty movie and entertainment other places. And to be honest, the only reason I watched this back in 2000 was because I grew up. One of the very first movies I ever watched as a kid that I remember is Labyrinth. So Jennifer Connelly's was like my crush as a kid. So anything she was in, I would watch it. And I'd still to this day, I have a fond affection for Jennifer Connelly because I think she's a great actress and she's Jennifer Connelly. She doesn't do a lot these days and hasn't done a lot. But yeah, back then I was like, ooh, Jennifer Connelly. And I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? And so anyway, and it was My So-Called Life. That was the fucking TV show that Jared Leto and Claire Danes, fucking angsty ass teenage bullshit. So 4 for me, 4 from you. Good movie. I don't know if I don't run out and go, you should go watch this movie. Like, if you want to tell
anybody they should watch
it. Like I would never sit down and go, yeah, you should definitely watch Requiem for a Dream. I mean, it is what it is. Like the title in and of itself tells you that this is a depressing ass movie, whether it was purposeful or not. I mean, it's the death of a dream, basically, is what it's talking about. So take that for what it's worth. So anyway, there it is. Alec, tell me where they can find us when we're not staying sober. I had nothing else, and it flew off the top of my head.
Happy to.
It's functional.
Best place to see us is on YouTube, so you see the smiley faces going back and forth as we discuss all sorts of movies. But aside from YouTube, the best place to get involved with the podcast is on Patreon at What's Our Verdict Reviews. We have coming up on, I think we might have even passed this point, 700 extra bonus episodes, everything that ranges from bloopers and outtakes all the way up to full-length movies that we could not put on the regular YouTube channel. So that is available behind a small paywall on Patreon, but to join the Patreon and to get involved in the content selection is absolutely free. So the way that we've been doing it for this year is that we have a topic and we select movies to go into the topic, and then based on who wins, they get their list taken off of their movie list that they don't want to watch taken off of the Patreon, and the person who lost, their list gets put on. So you can go in and select movies that neither one of us wants to watch. We picked each other's lists, but to vote and get involved in the content is absolutely free. So join us there to do that. Special thanks to our current patrons, Rich and CB, for, well, not so much CB. We just got our topic for next month, and I am not excited about it. But Patreon is the best place to get involved with the content. Hope to see you guys there. One last time, w.gg, go get the energy powder. We partner with them, so we do get a little bit of commission on any sale that uses the code RVerdict, all caps. So 10% off your order, w.gg. And with that, I'll kick it back to the Maharaja of MASH, Jack Dunn's baby, a JJ.
That's right. Appreciate it, sir. Yeah, go check us out. A lot of fun things you can do. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!